Shabbat Shalom, Kay and Anson.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think Hebrews chapter 8, and we got through 2 verses last week. Find it. Now, above all, we have a high priest who is seated at the right hand of the throne of majesty in heaven, and he has become the minister of the sanctuary of the true tabernacle, which God pitched and not man. For every high priest is appointed to offer gifts and sacrifice. Therefore, it is necessary that this man also have something to offer. For if he were on earth, he would not be a priest, because there are priests who offer gifts according to the law, who serve the semblance and shadow of heavenly things, just as it was commanded to Moses when he was about to make the tabernacle. See that you make all things according to the pattern showed to you in the mount. But now Jesus Christ has received the ministry, which is greater than that, just as the covenant in which he was made a mediator is greater. So are the promises greater than those given in the old covenant. Good stuff. I don't remember where we left off in the thoughts, but the end of verse 2, when it says, the true tabernacle which God pitched and not man. And I think Carrie had said that was all of creation, and the firmament would be like the tent. And I had never really thought of it like that. I thought more of the tent of meeting type thing. So if we want to, read verse 3, if somebody will read it and just tell me what you think that verse might be saying. Go ahead, Kay. 8:3.
For every high priest is appointed to offer both gifts and slaughters, so it was also necessary for this one to have somewhat to offer. So, because there is Torah in the Old Testament for the priests, the high priest, to make the offerings, sacrifices. Especially, I think I'm not sure if this is pertaining to also the once a year that he does during Yom Kippur. What I understand from this verse is that whoever will be appointed as the high priest, according to the order of Melchizedek, also has to make an offering of some sort. And what I have learned is that Yahusha made the best kind of offering, which is pleasing to the Father. He offered himself, all of himself, and nothing less. So, and if we are going to be followers of him, we should be doing likewise. I have a question though, like just going back to verse 1. So, is it correct to say that Yahusha is in the heavens with the Father?
Great question. What do you think, Kelly?
He lives in everybody's hearts. What do you mean? Didn't you invite Jesus into your heart? Oh my goodness. With all these paradigm shifts, it's very difficult for me to even imagine where he is. It's very sad. Like you said, the more you know, the less you know. Things that you thought you knew for sure. Where is Yahusha? It says right here, he's at the right hand of the throne of God. Is there anywhere that says that he's everywhere?
What do you think, George?
He's our intercessor, right?
I think, and this is what I think, not what I surely know, that he is in the presence of the Father, and know. I mean, I believe he's in the presence of the Father because he went up to the Father. I don't think he doesn't have to be there all the time. I'm not sure about that. You know, he's got his kingdom, I think, on earth here, and I'm sure he's got servants that rule, you know, for, you know what I'm saying? Like hierarchy, so to speak. But as far as physically where he is, man, he's spirit. That's a hard one. That's beyond my my little gray cells right at the moment. So, but I do believe he's present with the Father. And is he omnipresent? Boy, howdy, I don't know. I think his spirit is, but then that's a whole different meaning. The spirit is like, can be an attitude or a belief, you know.
I'm with you in spirit.
Yeah, you know, your words carry your spirit sometimes, you know what I mean, as far as memories and things. So you know, not to get too weird on this, I just don't know the complete answer. That's the bottom line. And I don't know if I will know until I am shown, if I'm shown, you know. Yeah. Then I'm pretty stupid. But anyway.
You're not stupid, George.
Trust me.
What do you say? I missed it.
Well, Anson, what do you think? Besides George is the funny guy.
I don't know. Maybe it depends on how you understand seated at the right hand of the throne. Like if you take it literally, of course he'll be in heaven, right? But if you take it as a power, you know, it might work with what Kelly said, that it's in our hearts. He's in our hearts. You know. Yeah, I really like this recording. For those people who dared watch these videos, yeah, let me tell you now that you won't find answers, only questions. This is how we are different, right?
What videos?
No,
Like,
for all those people who's gonna watch our recordings.
Oh.
Yeah. This is how we're different. You'll
Yeah.
get questions, not answers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I asked this question because you know how one of our goals here is to remove doctrines that are erroneous and to find truth, correct our way of thinking, you know, if need be. And so the concept, the doctrine of being in, you know, going to heaven, be with the Father, that is very strong, right, in the Christian community. And so like this verse would seem to support that, but I'm looking at it. So what is in the heavens? I mean, according to the sentence, I don't know if we can understand it in the English the same way as in the Greek, but like just looking at the English, what is in the heavens would be the throne of the greatness. Could be saying that Yahusha is there or not, but we know that being seated at the right hand means he is given the authority. So I don't know, I'm just trying to understand it, but we don't have to get it right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to figure things out. Yeah, but is Carrie back?
Yes. Do you have any thoughts, Carrie?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yay! Saved by Carrie.
Oh, you don't have, no, you're not saved by me. I don't know. You know, I'm in line with what folks are saying. It's a lot of uncertainty trying to pin down what it could mean. I agree that this doctrine that we hear about going to heaven and is such a huge mainstay of belief. And I'm always challenging everything that I always thought was true. So it's not to say that I don't think it's true anymore. It's just that I'm not so holding on to my ideas as fiercely as I once perhaps did. But yeah, I like the point you just said, Kay. I mean, his throne is in the heavens, and being seated at the right hand of the throne, it is a position of authority and power. Not necessarily physically standing there, but I mean, he could be. So I'm not going to say he's not. So I don't have much to contribute. Sorry.
Well, if we look at the Greek and maybe try to glean not such a literal understanding of what the author is saying, but what if the high priest is working in the power of the right hand of the Most High? He's operating with the authority. He's set on the right hand. He's put in a position of power. What if it's an idiom more than it is a literal definition? In the Greek, it's just a way of saying he's the right hand of the Most High now. What if it's that line of thinking? Is there look at the text and render it like that?
When you think of the fact that God is not a human and probably isn't sitting on a physical throne, I don't know. I'm just throwing this out here. It'd be difficult for Yahusha to sit on his right hand if he's not confined to any particular area or whatever. So I mean, that kind of makes sense what you're saying, that he's more like in the authority role of someone on the right hand. I don't know.
I think you can get from Revelation and other places some of the symbology. And in Corinthians, Paul, 1 Corinthians 15, he's talking about the kingdom to come and the keys being handed over to the Messiah and all things put under his feet, including death. And then he hands the keys to the kingdom over to the Father. So it seems like we're not there yet. That seems like a future. So maybe he's not set there yet. Maybe he's going to be set. Maybe it's a stage will be the one. But there definitely is going to be some changes, I think.
Why do you say it's a future thing, Ty?
Well, I think the people need to be made ready, and then there needs to be a reign of the anointed of David. He needs to come back and reign physically, and maybe it won't be a physical reign. Maybe it's totally a spiritual reign. I don't know. I don't think we're there yet. Because just looking at the lack of maturity in people and ourselves, I mean, we have a long way to go to be ready for it. I mean, most people can't even handle the Sabbath day. They're like, Sabbath, you're illegal. And it's like, wow, we have a long way to go. We can't even talk about that. Just simple matters of obedience. So, I mean, we can't be ready. I don't think he's going to come and force us all to be ready. That's what everybody's waiting. He's going to come and force everybody and teach them all and iron rod and make them do what they're supposed to do. And it's like, that's the cop-out. It's like, no, we need to do what we're supposed to do. It's up to us because this is our dominion and our free will. So, anyway, getting on a tangent.
Because that is an interesting thought. I'm thinking like in terms of getting ready, isn't that part of what the Ruach is supposed to do, like lead us in all truth? And that was poured out during the time of the apostles in Acts. And so that was a fulfillment of a prophecy. And so, and I can't remember the verse, but you can correct me on this one. I seem to remember Yahusha saying that his kingdom is a spiritual one, not a physical one, and
My kingdom is not of this world.
of this world.
And that may be this age. That could be like,
It may not be of this age.
I don't know for sure. I'm just,
That verse, probably. And also, like, I had the ideas of patterns. The Old Testament, the Torah, and including the David sitting on a physical throne and having a physical kingdom and all that. That was like a type and shadow of things to come. That's how I understood it. And so the reality will not be a physical one. Like from a physical reality, it's going to become a spiritual reality. I'm not sure.
You know, that's why what tripped me up when you said that, Ty, because he's already at the right hand, and if we're taking it to mean he is being in that authority, I mean, he's already has that authority over or dominion or whatever now. So he's just waiting for us to what? I don't know, because if we're not going to be forced to, how can we ever all just get on the right page?
Oh, and looking at the Greek, the verb is for sitting, it's in the past tense, it's sat down. And looking at all the translations, it's past tense. All the use of this particular Greek word is in the past tense. Like we have a high priest who down on right hand of the throne of Christ.
Yeah.
It's in the past tense. Or eated, so it's
I have to look at the positions in the Greek, so I'm not very good at that. But
I'm thinking also, like you were not ready, we're not mature, and all that. The question that came to mind is, whose fault is it? Like, is it the father's fault or is it the people's fault? Like coming up with so many wrong doctrines that we have, and then we have to sort through things. But the way we're now being able to sort things out and just coming to little to truth, little bit by bit. It's amazing. Things that happened in the past from the resurrection of Yahusha until now, how the Father's word have been preserved all throughout history, and now how it is available to everybody in so many languages, so many translations, and we have no excuse.
Well, what if somebody lived in a messy house? Their house was messy all the time, and they called the temporary agency and hired a maid. And the temporary agency said, "We're going to send the maid tomorrow. Don't worry about cleaning the house. She'll take care of it." Miscommunication, and the maid never got sent. But I'm sitting here waiting in my house, my messy house. Well, the maid's going to come tomorrow. And, well, the maid didn't come today. Maybe the maid will come tomorrow. I'm not going to clean the house. I'm just going to keep buying clothes, and I'm going to keep buying dishes and just let them pile up. I'm not going to clean anything because the maid's coming. At what point do you realize it's my job or your job to clean the house, clean your own house, and quit waiting for somebody else to come? That's what's going on here. Jesus is the maid, and everybody's waiting for him to come clean up the mess. And it's our house. We need to clean it up. We have what we need, but we're just going to pass the buck. That's what I think Christianity, that's why they're waiting on him. Jesus is going to come and fix it. And, we do have an apostolic succession. We do have a high priest. We do have the Spirit being poured out. We need to do something with it. Like you just said, Kay, we're without excuse. We have what we need. We need to clean up our own house. We need to take ownership, become responsible, passing the buck, and start growing up. And I think that's what we're trying to do here. I mean, I don't know.
How do you believe that everybody's going to get their act together eventually?
No, most will not.
So that means they get destroyed, or what happens?
I don't know. I'm not worried.
If you're going by Genesis flood time, we know what happens.
Well, we know that's not coming again. Genesis
Gomorrah.
8:22. The water judgment is not coming again. Not in this age. Or Genesis chapter 8, whatever that is. The Rainbow Covenant.
Well, I thought the earth was going to be destroyed by fire the second time.
Yeah, on the day of the Lord. I don't know
where I got that from, but that's what I thought.
The day of the Lord will be like fire, and everything's going to get burned, kind of like Babylon coming in, like Rome coming in and destroying the promised land. Those days of the Lord were, but I don't know, you got Peter talking about it, so I don't know. But in the meantime, I think the way our Father works is he's always given us the choice. We always have had the choice. We've had the dominion. And it's like, what are we going to do with it? And he's looking for faithful servants to execute his will, to be his children. We have examples. We have the Messiah's example, and he has a house for us now. In our Father's house are many mansions, and they're being prepared. And I had a random thought that I forgot to, when you were talking about Yeshua being omnipotent, when it says, when two or more are gathered in my name, I will be there also. It's a good question. Maybe this means we're walking in authority. If we're walking after his character and doing, because I don't think he's omnipotent. I think he's our high priest, and is like, I will be. It's like the centurion saying, just send a servant to go take care of it, and it will happen. And that's the kind of thing that our Father's looking for. That's why Yeshua marveled at that. It's like, where are my servants that I can send? And it's like, here, send me. That's what he's looking for. It is a paradigm shift, and it's a lot more responsibility. It's a lot easier just to have him sitting at the right hand of the Father, and that takes care of a lot of problems for us, if it's a literal thing. If it's just the power of it, that puts it back to us to work in this dominion now. So what do y'all think?
I hesitate to talk.
Hasn't ever stopped me, Kay. I just talk.
I hesitate because I haven't really studied it out for myself. But the things that we have been talking about, even in the past, it just makes so much sense to me how the kingdom is here and now, and we should be working in the kingdom for the Father, because I am seeing the great dangers of the futurist doctrines, like everybody looking towards the future, waiting for the Messiah to clean things up. Where is that? I mean, the Jews do that. They're waiting for the Messiah to, it's always a physical thing, both for the Jews and the Christians. Like, it's a physical thing. But what if it's not a physical thing? And we are as physical as it gets, because we are still in the physical body, in the physical world. But what if everything else is supposed to be a spiritual thing that the world rejects because because the world does not understand it? But those who have the Ruach, who have the Spirit, they get it, and they're supposed to start working towards something, and cleaning up the mess little by little, making the world or whatever it is habitable again. The thing is, evil has abound right now. Like the way I see it is because the few good men refuse to do anything, not not even saying anything. So like in the public school system, when prayer is taken out, did the Christians protest? Did the Christians, walk out of the public school system? When the Bible was taken out, well, did the Christians stay or left the public school system? Things like that. So just little by little, wickedness trickled in because the believers are not doing their part, like living as if the kingdom is here. What if it is here? So, I mean, if it's not here and we live as if it's here, then we're staying. But what if it's already here and we're not living as if it's here? So we are in great danger. We would be bad stewards. So just some thoughts I've been thinking about ever since, that idea that the kingdom is already here was proposed in this room.
Yeah, a thought that I had that keeps coming back to me is this idea of the anointed, the Messiah. We always refer to the Messiah as Jesus or Yeshua, and not recognizing it's an office. It's the anointed and the chosen. And as we see in the Old Testament, the chosen people were a nation. It wasn't just one person. It was a whole nation that was considered the chosen, the children of Israel. So I'm thinking that with Yeshua going, he was the embodiment and he was identified as the son, and I believe that he's the forerunner. I think that word is used in Hebrews, in the beginning of the chapter. The idea is he's the head of the body of Messiah. That means there's a body of Messiah. It's not just the head is the Messiah. You know what I mean? It's not like the body is something else and not the Messiah. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Anyway, the idea is it's a whole body politic of the anointed. And I think that Yeshua demonstrated when he walked the earth that this is how we are to be. And we are to serve, like what Kay was saying. It's not about us being conquering kings at this point. We serve. But as we are continuing over the generations, the anointed in each generation, as we are doing our Father's business, I think that, like in this day and age, I feel like there's more of an outpouring coming out of the Spirit. I think there's a lot more of an awakening of people snapping out of what we've inherited, all these false doctrines that we've inherited over the years. And now we're starting to recognize, wait a minute, I mean, we're just figuring this out in our lifetime. You know what I mean? It's not like my parents figured it out and they passed the torch to me. It's just in the last decade or so that I'm starting to see things. So, and I think it's continuing to kind of manifest that way. And I don't know, I just see the whole, I think the kingdom of God is at hand, and it has been at hand from the time that Yeshua walked the earth. And it's just a matter of all the generations getting a chance to do their part, to be the chosen to
It's even more at hand than when Yeshua said that.
Yeah.
Because we have the outpouring of the Holy Spirit after Yeshua is gone. We are closer to the kingdom than he was then. And you said something about conquering kings. Why would we be conquering kings? Our high priest came as a suffering servant, as they say.
Yes.
Come and conquer. He started to. They had a triumphant entry, and he could have been the conquering king, but the people rejected him and then put his blood on their generations. He was the conquering king. He deserved that. It just wasn't time because of the people. It wasn't because of him. He did his job. He was where he needed to be. But who is a king without a people? So now we need to be the suffering servants. We need to be the people following the Messiah as our high priest example. If it was good enough for him, it should be good enough for us. And that's what we should approach it the way that we know he did. So, yeah, will we be kings of the earth? Yes, we will. But right now, there's other kings of the earth, and they're out for no good. But why would we be kings? Why would we get keys to the car when we can't even handle a tricycle? We need to mature. You know, maybe we're going to get our learner's permit.
I just wanted to piggyback on what Kay said. I liked what she said about the over the years when, you know, how the wickedness kind of crept in, and those that were anointed, or, you know, the Christians, those that professed the faith of Yeshua as Messiah and all of that, they, you know, they allowed it. You know, I'm sure there were those that were martyred, that were killed, that tried to stand up for righteousness, and that were killed. But I'm wondering, like I said, in this day and age, if more and more people are standing up and standing against wickedness, that not as quick to snuff us out, because wickedness is so rampant right now. We are insignificant. You know, me touting my, no virgin birth, and people laugh. You know, it's laughable. But the problem is, it's not laughable because that seed is being disseminated in the hearts of men all over the place, and it's taking root. And people aren't talking about it yet, but it's taking root in their heart, like, something's just not right. And before they know it, this is what I feel, before they know it, these kind of the words of our Father that are being planted and sown in the hearts of men all over the place, not necessarily because it's coming from some pulpit somewhere or some, anyway, I see that. Yeah. Okay, I'll stop. I'm excited. Sorry, Ty.
You're fine. That's good, Carrie. As the word becomes, as the Father's word becomes flesh, I'm not talking about the scripture translations. I'm talking about the real word behind it. As that becomes flesh, the kingdom is in it. The kingdom becomes readily at hand as those that seek the Most High. We don't see it with our natural eyes. And maybe what she's saying, wickedness creeps in. Well, maybe righteousness is creeping in now. Maybe righteousness is becoming apparent in the seeds. And I know from gardening, you know, you get a little handful of seeds, a little bitty, and just spread them. And it's like nothing. And then all of a sudden, you know, wow, I can't walk through here. And then there's thousands and thousands of seeds from those seeds. And it's just like, wow, we could take over this whole field in no time, just a couple generations. So that's the way spiritual matters work. The kingdom of heaven is like a garden, you know, and the seed in the garden and the sower and all of this examples. But you got to have the righteous seed to begin with. You got to have seed. If you have the mingled seed, the bad seed, we got to outproduce them, and you got to start somewhere. And the kingdom is definitely at hand. I think it may even begin to be reality as we hold our ground and walk in our dominion, like Yeshua did. He walked with authority that no one else had. And how was that? Why was that? He was anointed. And if the anointed has anointed others, they can walk in that same power. So, I mean, I think if we read Hebrews with that kind of idea behind it, it changes the way we're reading it. It changes the way we see it. I think it helps with chapter 8. So to me, I would rather see that Yeshua being seated at the right hand of majesty is him walking in the power, in the flesh, here on the land. He did that. And I'm not trying to exclude anything of what that looks like. I'm just saying it could be that as well. It could include that. It could be a larger reality than we might have been looking at it. So floor is open. Any comments?
I was going to say, like Carrie was saying, it seems like there is, like right now is a time when maybe people are awakening, or people are starting to realize some truths that we hadn't seen before. It's like first generation. Along that line, I mean, it seems like every generation has believed, number one, that it's time for the rapture, or the return, or whatever, for him to come as the conquering king and to set things right on the earth, because things have gotten so bad. But there's also been movements of good, where like you hear these stories about all those martyrs and the Moravians coming over here, and the pilgrims leaving the church and coming here. There's been movements in every generation. Hasn't been revival. There's been things changing, and like when slavery was outlawed, I remember reading the biography of William Wilberforce and how he changed things. He changed the whole thought about how mankind is viewed, and ended slavery. And so anyway, it's just unclear as to how this movement could is it just an ebb and flow throughout eternity, or is it there's finally going to be a movement that really takes over and changes everything? Then, of course, I know you don't know the answer. I'm just throwing this out there. It's just kind of.
Well, I do know the answer. If we're not going that way, which way are we going? The temple has been gone for almost 2,000 years, 2 millennia. What is the point of everything that's happened to this point? Are we just going to languish? Are we just going to continue? The wickedness is growing in the land.
Mm-hmm.
So it can't continue. So something's got to happen.
Well, do you think it's growing worse than it has ever been at any other time in history?
It's probably just more apparent.
Yeah, because the wickedness has been. There was Mao Zedong, there was Genghis Khan. You go back in history.
There was the United States government.
Yeah.
The largest. What do you call it? Genocide in history. This is not a righteous land. Thought we were when I was a kid. I was like, yeah, we're the Christian nation. We're the ones that are to the world.
It's a big deception, actually.
Yeah. The only thing that's changed is probably my understanding.
Right. Most people would still say we are the greatest Christian nation in the world.
But we know what good is. I think that instinctively we know what good is. I think that we're wired. It's wired into us to understand what good and bad is generally. I'm not talking about every little fine point, but it's wrong to kill babies. Everybody knows that. And I think that the good needs to the light needs to overpower the darkness. The light has a lot more power than the darkness. It just takes a little light. But there's got to be some light. So he told us to go and be light in the world. And I think when enough people do that, then the tide will turn. I think people need to walk in their dominion that he gave us. I think the enemy has tricked us into thinking we have to wait for somebody to come do it. And you're waiting for the maid to show up that's never coming. It's like, you need to get busy. And then you'll see it. Then you'll see it. And it just takes a few people. He only had 12 apostles to change the world with. And he did. We just need to be those few people that are walking in that anointing.
Okay, how did the 12 apostles do that?
Well, they got to go out to the nations. Then there were 70 or whatever, but they were directly mandated. But again, this was Did they have the Holy Spirit yet in fuller measure?
Well, yeah.
Did they have it as in a fuller measure as the guys in Acts?
When they went out,
He breathed on them, right?
after he was ascended, they went out, right? That was after the Holy Spirit had come.
Was it after?
Yeah. All of them died as martyrs after him, after they'd all been out, like Thomas was martyred in India. At least that's what they say. Or Thomas or Philip, I forget now. Anyway. He didn't go out after he was ascended.
I'm just listening.
Yeah, but you have a look on your face. Like, keep talking yourself to a hole.
I'm not trying to trick you. I'm just listening. Will somebody help Kelly out?
I agree, yeah, Kelly. I saw that too.
That unfamiliar look was just me thinking.
Well, I would say the apostles definitely changed the world, because look at where we are today. While there may be a lot of wickedness, there is a lot of good that's happened in the world. It's just, we would be, I don't know, I think a lot of good has happened since they disseminated the truth, and we still have it.
Well, I can say that as far as us and us doing the best we can with our Father's word and his ways, I see good in the world. I don't see all this. I know it's out there, but I don't see it here. We're just living quietly in peace, a little hidden place in the desert, a little hidden place in the wilderness, just prospering. It's not that bad for us. The wicked is not that, the darkness is not that close physically, unless I bring it, somebody might come in and bring it or whatever, but I don't see the world as a bad place at all. I see a lot of hope.
It's because you live in the wonderful United States of America. We were just talking to our friends in the Philippines, and they have a farm, and we said, well, why don't you go live on the farm and get away out of the city and, grow something and stop fighting traffic and breathing pollution all day long. And they're like, we can't do that because there's the MPA, which is, what is it? I know it's New People's Army, but is it okay? Is it
the rebels?
Rebels, but what's their cause? Like, is it Islam?
It's communism, socialism.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think it's also
bands of people. Go ahead.
No, I think the NPA is also something staged, to prevent people from, living in the more remote areas, probably.
Yes.
To keep people in cities.
You're untouched so far. If they go out there and live, these people are going to come and demand, you will give me this much rice and this much whatever their demands are, or we will attack you, and you will not be able to stay here. And like say, you want to have a business in the Philippines, you can't, so much corruption, and they undercut you in every single way. And like, there was a guy in one of the Middle Eastern countries that just set himself on fire one day. He was a father. He was trying to have a little vegetable cart, and sell vegetables on the street. And they took it away from him. They said, you can't. He had tried a lot of different things before he got to that state. And they just cut him down in every way. They wouldn't let him make a living. And there's, like Haiti, it's so dark there. They don't even make anything there. They have to bring everything in from other countries to do it. But here we have the freedom, at least at this point. to have a home business, or to have you live on your farm and nobody's bothering you, as to, for the most part. But because of the wickedness of those countries and the wicked, corrupt governments, these people are not allowed to do those kinds of things.
Well, I still pay protection money, Kay. It's called taxes, you know.
Yeah.
I'm paying it. They're just a better, more well-oiled regime of thugs is the United States government. We're all paying our dues. They're getting their cut. So, but even so, I understand that there are a lot harder places to live in the world. But here right now, I'm experiencing the time. It won't always be that way. It will be until it's time for it not to be. And then it'll be time to fight or what. Maybe it's just he's the hidden place in the wilderness is because the Father made it that way. The secret place in the wilderness in Revelation, it wasn't because of anything. They were righteous people and they were being protected by the Father through their own power. And maybe that's where I'm at right now. Maybe he's just keeping the storms from rolling over me at this point, because I still have work to do on his behalf. But I see. My point was, in walking in his ways, there is a peace, and it's nothing money can buy. It's nothing that you really, it's a place that you are. And I'm not saying I'm completely peaceful, but I have a lot of peace. I don't have the turmoil to do. I have a lot less stress, and it leaves you seeing a lot of hope. I see a lot of hope for the light to shine. I see a lot of hope for little people doing little things, making a big difference. And I feel bad for people that have to face like what you were talking about. And I feel them, but I can only most influence what's in my own sphere. So I'll just do good here while I can to those that want to be part of that, or what, you know. I can't force anybody. I can't force my wife's family. Hey, y'all, quit doing what you're doing. It worked. It's not working for them. But anyway.
And I think that's what you're supposed to do. I mean, Anson and I were talking yesterday about this. It's like, because we had horrible forest fire this year. It's supposed to be the worst forest fire. And we were looking at, possibility of it being orchestrated, not really, natural disaster. And so what was the purpose? And we've been hearing about how, it's about people being brought into the cities, and so they can be easier to manage. And so Anson said, so how are we going to, if they're discouraging homesteading, they're after homesteaders, and so what are we going to do? I said, well, we should be doing the Father's will, whatever his will. Like every day we need to ask him, clearly, what do you want us to do? If that is the Father's will for him, the Father will protect him. He will be like invisible to everybody. The DEW is not going to get him. I don't know if you know the DEW. It's something I learned just this week. It's
directed energy weapons.
And so
yeah, that's what you type, Ty. The Death Star ray, something like that.
Mm-hmm. And so yeah, so I mean, no, what's that song? Is that a song or a verse where no weapon against me will prevail or something? Oh my goodness.
No weapon formed against me shall prevail.
Or
in Ephesians?
Shall prosper, or
the desert song. The desert song.
Yes, oh, well, anyway. So, yes, by all means, let's focus our sight above and not around us. And at the same time, I'm also thinking, like, as, children anointed by the Father, we have the right and the duty to not allow wickedness to prevail, to grow. What I've noticed, like what I've observed in the Western culture, coming from, Eastern culture, Western culture, in the West, many people have fallen into the lie of love and respect. Loving and respecting your neighbor means tolerance, being tolerant of what they're doing. You have to mind your own business. I mean, this is, for me, it's a very new concept, minding your own business. I mean, if you see somebody in danger, like, do you still mind your own business? Or, because like in the Philippines, in our culture, like the elderly people are highly respected, no matter what. We respect, and they always have a place in the community. They are the ones who pass on wisdom. We get a lot of wisdom from the older people because they've been there, they've done that, and they know things that we don't. And so it's the same. If I have somebody younger than me, and it's very natural for me to be teaching the younger lady, probably a new mother or a younger mom. It's just natural. It's not like people that don't take offense when somebody gives unsolicited advice. We don't even have that phrase in the Philippines, like unsolicited advice, because every advice is just is welcome. Like it's advice. It's love. People give advice because it's out of love, and so like an older person can just, when they see students in their uniform, not in school, they can just go and tell the students, what are you doing here? Whose children are you? Why are you not in school? You're in uniform. And, and of course so it's not like, and the children will have to be respectful to that, and explain themselves why they're, not in school, something like that. So they don't like, talk back or be sassy to that older person, like mind your own business. But sometimes I see that over here, like if the older people, they don't dare say anything to the younger ones because
Philippines, a country of 100 million population, and I only know one nursing home. Yeah, that's not the business in the Philippines. You won't make money in nursing homes because everybody, keeps their.
And we don't have daycares.
We don't have daycares.
It's the grandmas, the grandpas. They help take care of the little ones, so they grow up really respecting and loving the older people. They count, and so. Yeah, so I think love and respect in the Bible is very, very different from love and respect that the world has given us, the definition that it has given us. It's not about tolerance. It's not about not saying anything when we have to.
Well, it depends on the level of relationship. And by the way, you can't go wrong respecting gray hair, white haired people. You should always respect them, period. We don't do that in this country. We treat them as second-class citizens generally. So and you just mentioned cooperative living. I'm really big on that idea. I think the grandparents helping with the little kids, or the aunts and uncles helping with the kids. That's what we should be doing. And we should be taking care of our elderly. We shouldn't be sticking them away to let them die in these places that kill them too soon. But all that aside, we should say something, but we should only say it with the level of relationship we have. People don't want it crammed down their throat, and they don't really. Carrie was just talking about this yesterday, with her family. She spent time with her family, and it's like, I'm just where they're at. And instead of trying to tell them this, that, and the other, you know what? Maybe it's not a sin for them to eat pork at this point. Maybe they just need to, hey, why don't you keep the Sabbath? Why don't you get rid of these idols, these religious icons? If you start with that, with the people, instead of, and just do it slowly and gently, without all this condemnation, more acceptance of people where they're at, but loving them into a better place. I'm not saying to not confront them, but do it in a way that really is going to change them. You got to have a relationship to really affect another person. Otherwise, you're just part of the noise. So being the holiness police doesn't work. It just leads to more and more and more religion. Love people where they're at. I don't think there's enough of that. So there's a balance, and it's hard to find because we're zealous, but we can't make people see what we see. Only the Father can open eyes. So all we can do is just live, not just talk, but live it and show them. Anyway, I was just answering what you said, Kay. The floor is open for a little bit.
Yeah, I agree, Ty. As far as I'm not the what'd you say, police or whatever, the
Holiness police.
Yeah, I'm not the holiness police because I'm not holy enough to be a holiness police at the moment. You know what I'm saying? It's like cast the first stone. That shuts me down every time. But as far as praying and hoping, and if they're close, yeah, but it's more by example as far as the little things, and the Father does it. Whatever little bit I can spread seed-wise of anything, I know who gives the increase. It's certainly not me. And he gives the increase in spite of me, generally, is what I've found out. But it's, as far as I cannot, well, if I get a condemnation, I have to start with me, and that's not fun anyway. So that's. Your mic is
You're
off.
muted. You're muted, Ty.
We talked about Hebrews a lot and a little. So does anybody have any comments before I wrap it up for the hour? Anybody had anything to say about any point? Say it. Please go right ahead. Come on, Anson. I know you got something to say over there.
Well, my daughter and I were just talking about different paradigms of how you're living your life. The Christians tend to believe that when that last person gets saved, it's almost like the last thing in the bucket, and the bucket's full, and that's going to bring the Messiah, the second coming. Jewish people believe that I don't know what they believe, but they're building the temple. I don't know exactly, but they believe it's going to be restoring the land and bringing all the Jews back home. That's kind of what they're working toward. I'm not exactly sure about that. But what we've been talking about here today is like what the first one was like the maid example. Or no, that wasn't like the maid example. Because they are working to evangelize the whole world. And so, that's why they sending out missionaries, sending lots of dollars, overseas to try to promote the gospel around the world. So it's not really quite the maid. Some people are just sitting back and waiting, for that to happen. Some in the Christian world. But then if we're working, if you change your paradigm to, I'm working to, I guess, I don't know, like work where I am, I'm going to bring order, just like was commanded in Genesis, and I'm going to bring order out of chaos, and I'm going to be a bright light where I am, and do good and live the example and work on myself. I guess maybe, I don't know, does anybody have another paradigm? How are we living our life, and what are we looking forward to, and why are we living it the way we are? Because like this group Hayavel, they have gone from almost an Amish type existence to at least the Waller family, to traveling constantly over to Israel because they were helping to restore the land and fulfilled prophecy. So their children are being raised in a very different way, the second generation than the first. And so it's airplane travel and a lot of, trips back and forth to the ocean. Anyway, I think whatever you think or you're doing right now, it shifts you. It's like when we came home from the Philippines, we lived in a townhouse and we were like, we're traveling all the time. We don't have time to be here or do anything at home and have our grass mowed by somebody else. And, we're just kind of be coming in and going. We did that for a long time. And now I'm in a totally different mindset. It changes my whole outlook on everything that I'm doing.
Well, I think you were talking about the early path, the early instructions in Genesis, and I firmly believe planting a garden eastward is something that everyone should do. Physically plant a garden towards the old ways, towards the old paths, seeking the old ways, and I think gardening teaches us so much. So I think that you literally need to be attached to the land by growing and eating your food. I think everybody needs to do that. And it's a very healing process. So yes, that's one thing. I think traveling all over the place, spend all this money, I think we should, right where we're at, start making the word flesh and start working on cleaning up the mess right where we are with our neighbors, with the people you see at the post office or the grocery store, or anybody you see square dancing or at the library. You work with the people that are around you, people that you have any dealings with. You find ways to interact with them. And I think if we all did that, nobody would have to travel because everybody's neighbor would be taken care of by somebody that's. I think we need to stand our ground right where we're at. Now, that may not be true, but to me, that's the wisest approach. So I just want to do my Father's ways and teach the people around me why it's good. And when they say, well, what is it about, why are you different? What is it about you? What is it about your demeanor? What is it about your life? Why are you so peaceful? Aren't you afraid of the world coming to an end? What's wrong with you? Don't you know? The economy is going to explode. We're all going to die at Wall Street. And it's like, I'm not worried about any of that. I don't care. I used to be like that. I don't even care. And they're like, I want some of that. What do you got? Give me some of that. That's what we should be doing. That's how we change the world. Because it's easy to fly in and tell people to do and then fly back out. You're not there. It's kind of irresponsible. And besides, what message are they taking? Is it loaded with the truth? Or is it loaded with the doctrines, the dogma of men? It's not helping anybody. It's not helping this country. It's not fixing the United States. Why are we going over there to tell them how to fix it? It doesn't work for us. It's like delusional. I mean, I know that's harsh. Going here and there and everywhere. Let's just take care of our own people in our own family if we can get through to them. Anyway, I'm just commenting on your comments, Kelly. Anyone else want to say anything? Julian, you want to say anything? All right. Well, we'll try Hebrews, 8:4 next week. So it was good. Thank you all. Go ahead and end it. Shabbat shalom.